Wow, the internet is sure quirky today. This is Sandi Maki, and it's time for a little heavy breathing just before midnight. It's actually a little bit before midnight, so this is coming to you early since my websites are just acting up today. I was just on one of them, and for some reason, all of the comments are redirecting to the wrong place, and the wrong landing page is coming up, and wow, sometimes that vanilla and bliss that I talked about just the other day and doing that thing where, you sit down at the computer for 5 minutes and then it turns into 5 hours. Well, I'm having one of those days, only it's not the kind of day that I like. So, anyway, I guess I'll take a break because there's this magical thing with the internet. Sometimes, if it's not doing what you want it to, and you give it a break and then you come back later, magic, it'll just work. So instead of talking about the internet, let's talk about books. I was given a little bit of grief the other day from a friend of mine who saw my bookshelf online that has an accounting of which books I have in my library. And I have the book by George Bush, and then I had one by Sarah Palin, and then I had the book on Google, then Facebook, social media marketing. And then I have a book written by Ricky Martin. So I got a little grief for having all of these business books and then a book by Ricky Martin. Well, I will tell you that I am in the middle of the book by Ricky Martin, and it is fantastic. If you'll remember, the way that I shop for books is if I catch a glimpse of something on the shelf, if I'm at a real live bookstore, I'll usually pick it up, open to a random page, and then start reading. If I start reading and I want to keep reading and keep flipping the pages, then I know that this is probably a good book for me to read. If I open it and I can barely make it through a couple of sentences, probably not the book for me. Well, with what happened with the case of the Ricky Martin book was I picked it up. I'm a little intrigued by him. I know he's been on the music scene for quite a while and had a lot of hits back in the mid 90s. But I wanted to see more of his story. I was been somewhat interested in kind of his persona and what's going on with him. So I did pick it up. And what I found through the book is he is a very spiritual person. And the book is the story of his life from his pre-fame days through his days of singing as really a child star, and then his recording career, which he had a lot of a career before he became known in the States. So that was really interesting. But he talks about his struggles going from, just a regular everyday kid to so famous. And it's a really interesting story to read. I'm not completely done with it yet, but I will look forward to the ending because I think it's fantastic. So, just like you can't judge a book by its cover, you shouldn't judge a book by what your perception of the author is. Because I think that depending on your source of information, whether it's a quick glance that you had at a book or someone's persona that you perceive from the media, or any other source that isn't firsthand or in their own words, then I don't know if you quite know what you're going to be getting into. So I am a fan, absolutely, of people blogging because as long as you're blogging yourself or you have an authentic voice coming through, then people should be able to recognize what it is that they're going to get from you. The media, which is having to change its ways a little bit with social media, is telling a side of the story that it deems as newsworthy. And yes, there are a lot of people that make up the news media, but I know that there's also a lot of pressure in the news media to create content that sells. And they're not always complete 360-degree versions of the story. By nature, it just can't be. Luckily, reading a book or blogging or adding social media to the mix does allow us to see more of that story, which I think is a really great thing. So I do have an eclectic mix of books on my bookshelf, and I have enjoyed going through some of the fiction, some of the nonfiction, some of the business books, some of the opinion books, and everything in between. As long as it's well written, I will give it a try. And don't sell it short. If you see some random books on my bookshelf, which I encourage you to check out if you'd like to see some really cool things, if you see some cool things, you might want to take a peek. One note that I will put out here for anybody who's developing web apps and things that interface with WordPress, there's a handful of sites that allow you to share your bookshelf. And I don't know that one exists that allows you to share your bookshelf, an image of the book, title, the author, the way that Shelfari does with Amazon, and then just give a quick synopsis or a quick review that would also post with the book. Because I know on my bookshelf I put whether I like it or not, and then I can put notes for myself, but I would really like to be able to put other quick notes on there saying, you know, this is on my top 5 must-read list, because there's quite a few of those. So if anybody out there is listening who has that skill, ability, or if you know of something that I'm missing, I would really love to be able to add that to my site. So I don't know if the amount of magic time has elapsed yet, which will allow me to head back over to my website and really kind of figure out what's going on with its quirkiness. But we delved a little bit into my bookshelf today, so I'd say that's pretty good. We will go see if the internet magic is happening. Until next time, make it a great day with a great book.